Hi, I'm Matt, and in this episode we are going to be unboxing the new DW Flying Wing 600. Now the reason why it's called 600 because that's 600mm, so about 60 centimeters to be precise. I paid about $17.99 for this model, and I did pay for express shipping as well. And I ordered this on the 14th of December, and it is now the 22nd of December. So pretty speedy shipping, considering it has had to come from China to the United Kingdom at this time of the year. So with that said, let's go and get her opened up. Do note on the packet, there was like a great big dent in there, and it's not been put in a bag or anything like that. It's just been taped up. So with that said, let's stuff a knife in her and see what we've got inside. Now, I can already tell you before we open this box up, I probably won't be very happy with the control horns. And as such, I will put a link to some decent quality control horns in the video description for you. And they are a million times more superior than the ones which we tend to get with these DW kits. The other thing which we need to keep in the back of our heads is that this is a sub £15 model. So are we going to be impressed with a sub £15 model? I certainly hope so. We're about to find out. So let's see this on the iPad. There we go. So what do we get in the box? We get two wing halves. We get the little winglets as well. That looks like it for that bag. We get a wooden mount where we can mount our motor and our ESC on the back of there. And I think that just glues in to the wing itself. We also get provided, that's the one thing which I do like about these kits, is that, can you see on there, these push rods are very, very simple to set up, and we do get that blue piece there is some heat shrink. So all we do is just scuff up the carbon rods, and then we put a bit of CA glue in there, and then use a covering which is the heat shrink tubing to make our push rods for our model. We do get provided with a propeller. I'm guessing that's a 50-30 propeller. And yes, there's some absolute rubbish control horns in there, which I personally, like I said, I won't be using. And of course, in here we get two little pieces of carbon fiber, which we use for push rods. And we also get a carbon brace as well. Now, as I've learned from other models, previously, like the DW Rainbow Wing, which is over there on the wall, is that these models really don't suit to overpowering. So that said, for sub 15 quid, knowing what today's prices are like, you could basically have like 1.5 of those. So get all your unscheduled landings out of the way first, and then progress onto another model later. We do get some instructions. They do look pretty good there. It's just showing us pictures with some little highlights and text on there, which will be impossible for you to read off the iPad because I can hardly read it here, and I've got it in my hands in front of me. The key point which we're looking for, which is the C of G, which doesn't appear to be showing on here. So I'm just going to have a quick nose on the opposite side. It's on the bottom one, and it says CG 110mm from the nose. So with that said, let's get this bag open, get the box out of the way. I've got all I wanted from the instructions, so that's going as well. And let's have a nose inside of here and have a quick look. Now, I won't be building this model during this episode. I'll save it for another one. Let's just go and get it built up. Just get it lined up on the desk. We've got two winglets either side. Let me move that back so you can see it on the iPad okay. So this is going to be a super simple build. We'll put the piece of carbon fiber, which we get provided in the bag, down the middle of here, like so. The holes which they've been cut out, on the bottom by the looks of it, yeah, they have been and put a little groove on the bottom, so I'll just show you that on the iPad. There was a little groove in there for the carbon fiber strip to go in. Looks like they've already been and put another carbon fiber strip across the main part of the wing, and brilliant. So that's nice and straightforward. Now the servo holes which we have are not holes which are meant for 12 gram servos or 9 gram plastic geared servos. They look like much smaller servos, so say 5 gram servos instead. So this model is definitely set up for a low, well, not not to be completely overpowered like maybe what I do with some of my other models. This is meant to be a slow flyer. And also, if we just consider the width of the wing, you could be potentially flying this one indoors as well. So yeah, a nice little all-rounder. Decent parts. The EPP foam does feel nice and strong. Checking the main part of the body. Yeah, nice and straightforwards. We check those elevons. Yeah, they're pretty good as well. Oh, a nice little touch as well. You won't be able to see it that way round, but I'll just show you on the iPad. Can you see just there? I'll just use the pen to point this out. They have been and put a little cut in there so you know where your control horn is supposed to go. That is happy days. That does make building this model an awful lot easier. So if we think about the build process, what we would need to do, well, number one would be glue the two wings halves together. You could quite easily use hot glue for that. And to be frankly honest, this model's not going to get that amount of stress. So I will be personally using hot glue for this model because it's cheap and cheerful. And hot glue does kind of work okay for EPP foam. It's just on my other bigger builds, the models which are going to get an absolute thrashing, is where I would use something like a goop glue instead. We would then need to put the carbon fiber spar underneath here, install two servos. We would then need to make up our mount on here, which does look like it has been laser cut pretty well. Do take note, there's not much depth in here for our motor to go in. Also, just quickly looking at the wooden motor mount which we've got here, you'll see that we've got some teeth which will then need to get dug in or stuck into the foam itself. There are no indents in the wing itself for those to be mounted, so maybe that is an improvement point for this wing. But for you, that's dead straightforward. So you would make up that wooden little structure, place it where you want it to go on the actual model itself, and then maybe use a pen just to mark it, or just get straight in there with a craft knife and make the little nick. Put some glue on the end. Again, you could just use hot glue for speed, or maybe a little bit of goop glue, which is like a rubberized glue. Again, I'll put a link to that in the video description for you. Mount that in, pop your motor on the back, and you're away. Dead straightforward. Really, really simple build. I think realistically, even if you've got very limited knowledge of building models, you will be able to build this one. It is dead simple. We're only talking one glue joint in the end. Oh, big tip for you, put the winglets on last, okay? Definitely put that on last. It means that you can work on the model in the meantime. Whether you mount them, I'll show you this on the iPad, whether you mount them like that or you mount them round that way is completely up to you. If you are going to be flying, well, to be honest, that is the correct way of mounting them, but you could very easily mount them that way round and they would have exactly the same effect. But I will be mounting mine that way round because that looks the coolest, to be honest. So yeah, as I was saying for the build, dead straightforward. Bit of hot glue in the middle, stick the spar in, pop your servos in, CA glue up your wooden structure to go in the middle, mount your motor on the back of the wooden structure before you attach it to the model. Put those in, servos in, control horns, yeah, the control rods, glue that in, stick a battery in it and chuck it. Really straightforward. Am I impressed for 15 quid or say $18? Yeah, it looks like good fun. The elevons are a bit stiff, if I'm honest. So I don't know how they're going to fare. And again, with the control point being here, it does mean that this end of the elevon is going to flex. This whole surface is going to flex, not in time with the servo. So that is going to cause a slight issue in the air. But all in all, $18, 15 quid, happy days. It will take, what, worst case, an hour to build, if that. The only tricky piece which you've got is with these push rods, and I'll just quickly show you these on the iPad. Those push rods, you would need to put the little Z-bends on the ends, put some CA on them, and then just cut off a piece of the heat shrink tube, put it on the end, and then what I like to do is use one of those hot air guns. You know what you use for paint stripping, and do I have one to hand? Yeah. That's what I use, one of those. I almost fell over. One of those, just give it a blast. It sets the CA glue, and you can be flying ASAP. So yeah, that's probably a bit overkill for modelling. Or you could just stick a lighter around it. But just do go careful if you do use a lighter. Most CA glues are flammable. So there we go. There's the overview to the kit. Can't wait to get this one built now. It really won't take that much, well, that much time for it to be built. Really straightforward. A couple of glue joints. Happy days. Now, I would like to make the point, I bought this model out of my own money for my own abuses. I am going to put a moderately sized motor on there, something to run on 2S, and a small little battery to run on the front. This one won't be overpowered, like I mentioned a few times. I've learnt my lesson trying to overpower smaller models, but seems really straightforward. I'm kind of chuffed with my money, actually. It's not bad. It's going to be a nice little flyer. So I'll make a build overview episode for you. I won't do a full-blown build episode. If you would like to know how to build a model like this, what I would do in the top right-hand corner, whichever one's the right-hand corner, I'll put a link to another DW with flying wing model, and that will show you how to build one of these models step by step. Now, like I said, I bought this model out of my own cash from my own abuses. It was not sent to me for review. I was curious. I love flying wings, and this one does look like it's going to be really good fun. If you have any questions about this wing, please just ask in the comments section underneath this episode, and I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely fashion. And on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerios!